I took off toward Karen, adrenaline surging through me as the cool night air filled my lungs. Boomer ran beside me, barking furiously as we closed the distance. Karen's silhouette grew clearer, her back was to me, the malicious bag in her hand swinging as she poured something sinister. "What do you think you're doing?" I shouted, my voice echoing in the quiet pasture. Karen turned, eyes wide like a deer caught in headlights. But instead of fleeing, she straightened up, a smirk curling on her lips. "Just a little surprise for your precious ranch," she taunted. "It's time someone cleaned up this land." I charged forward. "Stop right there. You can't just mess with my property." She laughed, a harsh sound slicing through the night. "And what are you going to do about it? Call the cops? I have a nice story ready for them about how you've neglected this place. Don't you see? This is bigger than you." Before I could respond, she dumped the contents of the bag onto the ground. I caught a whiff, something foul that made my stomach churn. My heart sank. If that seeped into the soil or contaminated the water supply, it'd be catastrophic. "Stop!" I yelled, diving forward to knock the bag from her hands. But she sidestepped me, her laughter ringing out, as if this was a game. "Cute, but you'll have to do better," she taunted. I rolled to my feet, fists clenched. But there was no time for fury. My horses were nearby, blissfully unaware of the threat. I couldn't let Karen harm them. "Boomer, get her," I commanded. With a bark, Boomer sprang into action, rushing toward her. Caught off guard, she stumbled back, giving me the opening I needed. I lunged, grabbing the bag. Karen fought back, her nails scraping my arm, but I held on, fueled by desperation. "Let go. You don't know what you're doing," she screeched. "I know exactly what you're doing." I shot back, struggling until I finally yanked the bag free. As I tossed it into the distance, victory surged through me. But Karen's face twisted in fury. "You think you've won? I have all the evidence I need, and I'm taking this to the media." "Evidence?" I barked, disbelief flooding my voice. "You're the one standing here with a bag of chemicals on my property." "Oh, I can twist it however I want," she replied, confidence radiating from her. "The moment anyone sees you, the story will shift. They'll believe you're a danger to the community." I felt the weight of her words settle like a stone in my gut. "You can't be serious." Karen smirked and turned on her heel, striding back to her SUV. "Enjoy your little victory, for now." With that, she sped off, kicking up dirt and leaving me standing in the aftermath of the confrontation. I rushed inside and began reaching out to friends and neighbors, warning them about Karen's deceptive tactics. Word spread quickly, and soon, I had a rallying group eager to defend the ranch. By nightfall, I organized a town meeting at the community hall for the following evening. As Boomer and I prepared, I couldn't shake the unease that hung in the air. Just before I settled in for the night, I checked on my horses one last time. But when I reached the pasture, my blood ran cold. The gate was ajar. I rushed forward, my heart racing, and noticed disturbed mud around the entrance. It was as if someone had tampered with it. I whipped around, scanning for signs of Karen or any threats. Then I caught a glimpse of a figure slipping back behind a cluster of trees bordering my property. "Karen," I whispered. Without thinking, I grabbed my phone and snapped a picture of the silhouette. But before I could approach, she bolted into the darkness, disappearing behind the trees. On edge, I returned home, feeling the weight of the fight drain over me. Sleep eluded me. As I sat up, listening for the slightest sound, a heavy darkness settled in, reminding me, this battle was far from over. The next evening, as the town hall filled with community members ready to stand with me against Karen's lies, I felt a surge of hope, but I also feared what she might do next. The stakes were high, and I needed to stay sharp. Little did I know, the dawn would bring unexpected twists that would alter everything I thought I knew about Karen and her relentless pursuit. I fought back the surge of panic as I stared into the darkness where Karen had just vanished. The weight of her earlier threats hung heavy over me, and I knew I couldn't afford to let her get away this time. Clenching my fists, I took off down the path toward the trees, adrenaline coursing through my veins. "Boomer," I called, the dog quickly bounding at my side as we darted through the underbrush. The dim light from the moon barely illuminated our path, but I pressed on, straining my ears for any sound, any sign that Karen was still nearby. "Where are you, Karen?" I shouted into the night, my voice ringing out loud and echoing back to me. A rustle snapped my attention. I spun toward the sound, breath held tight. There, a shadow moved just beyond the tree line. "Karen, show yourself." It was silent for a breath, then a low chuckle emerged from the darkness. You think you can intimidate me? How charming. Intimidation? I'm just trying to save my ranch from you. The anger surged, fueling my determination. You're crossing a line, and I won't let you destroy everything I've worked for. Maybe you forget who you're dealing with. She stepped into a sliver of moonlight, a wicked glint in her eyes. This isn't just about the ranch, you stubborn fool. It's about control. And you've made a powerful enemy. Why can't you just leave us alone? I shot back, cautious steps bringing me closer as Boomer growled, teeth bared. This isn't a game. Karen's laughter sent chills down my spine. Oh, but it is. And right now, the fun is just beginning. She reached into her jacket, pulling out a small device that glowed ominously. My heart raced. You see this? A little trigger to unleash chaos. What are you? I lunged forward, but it was too late. She pressed the button, and a loud crack pierced the air. A flurry of sparks erupted from a nearby fence post, sending a shower of sparks flying like fireflies sparked into frenzy. Before I could react, a series of dull thuds reverberated around us, explosions erupting from various corners of the ranch, the ground shaking beneath my feet. No. My stomach dropped as I realized she had planted more of her surprises all over the property. Welcome to the show. Karen sneered, maintaining a twisted smile as chaos erupted. The horses whinnied in terror, racing towards the back of the pasture. I could feel panic pulsating through the air, thick enough to choke on. Boomer! I yelled, desperately waving him away from the thickening smoke. I had no choice but to abandon her. I need to save the horses. I sprinted towards the stables. The sight was madness. Animals were stamping, their eyes wild with fear. Easy, easy. I called, trying to soothe them through the noise surrounding us. I grabbed the nearest horse, a chestnut mare named Bella, and began leading her out, guiding her back toward the walnut trees while the explosions echoed behind me. The ranch was in outright chaos, and I could only hope that Boomer was safe. In the midst of my efforts, I caught a glimpse of Karen slipping away into the shadows. An inferno of anger ignited within me. This isn't over. I will find you. Or maybe I'll find you first, she shouted back, her voice fading with distance. I bellowed, the weight of my helplessness overwhelming me. How could I stop her when she had come prepared for a war? I focused on calming Bella, anchoring my thoughts. The ranch, my land, meant everything to me, and I couldn't let anyone destroy it, especially not a predator like her. Hang in there. I whispered to the horse, heart racing. Just as I led Bella toward the safety of the barn, I noticed something gleaming on the ground, Karen's device, forgotten amid the frenzy. I knelt, grabbing it, and glanced at the nearby pasture. If I could reverse the damage she'd caused, I might still save the ranch. But then I heard a loud bang, and the ground quaked beneath me again. I shot up, fear racing through me. The explosions were becoming more frequent. I sprinted back toward the commotion, ready to face whatever awaited me. But the moment I stepped out from the safety of the barn, a flicker caught my eye. My breath caught in my throat as I saw at least a dozen more of Karen's devices scattered around the ranch, some already glowing ominously. Boomer! I shouted, desperately scanning for my dog. I couldn't let any more explosions disrupt the haven I had fought to protect. I had to act fast. I stared at the device in my hand, my ingenuity sparking as ideas raced through my mind. I needed to figure out how to disarm her traps and prevent any more destruction. It was finally time to turn the tables. I would beat Karen at her own game. With newfound determination, I dashed toward the heart of the chaos, ready to confront the wildfire she had unleashed, and putting everything on the line to protect what was mine. I darted through the chaos, the device clutched tightly in my hand. Each explosion crackled through the air like thunder, sending vibrations coursing through my bones. Boomer's bark pierced the noise, and I turned toward him, lingering in the shadows between the trees. Boomer! Come here! I shouted, desperate for him to reach me before it was too late. But then I spotted him. He was crouched low, fixated on something just beyond a haze of smoke. Fear gripped my heart as I rushed toward him, crashing through a patch of wildflowers. Boomer! Suddenly, an earth-shaking explosion erupted behind me, tossing me forward. I landed hard, the wind knocked out of my lungs. My thoughts were a whirl, but I had to keep moving. I scrambled to my feet, adrenaline propelling me forward. Stay close, buddy. I called to Boomer, who bounded back toward me. I could see the barn ahead. I darted for it, determined to reach safety and regroup. As I burst through the doors, the inside was dim, filled with the scent of hay and sweat. Spotting the horses huddled in the far corner, I felt a fierce wave of protectiveness wash over me. I raced toward them, but before I could reach Bella, a shadow crossed my path. "Thought you could get away, didn't you?" Karen's voice slithered through the air, and I pivoted, heart racing as I faced her. "Why are you doing this?" I demanded, trying to keep my voice steady despite the anger and fear swirling within me. "Because I can," she replied nonchalantly, pulling out 2 more devices from her jacket pockets. "And you're too weak to stop me." "Weak?" My fists clenched. "You're the one wreaking havoc on your own community." She laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the barn. "I'm giving them a show. And you're just the main act." A new explosion shook the ground like a thunderclap right outside, and I braced myself against the wall, adrenaline surging through me. "What's your endgame, Karen?" "Just chaos for chaos' sake." "Not just chaos," she said. "I want power, and I'll have a court of evidence here to make it happen. The ranch will be mine, and you'll be the villain they all see." "Not if I have anything to say about it." I shot back. "Your tricks end here." In a split second, I lunged at her, determined to take the device from her grasp. She sidestepped, but I caught her arm, forcing the device to slip from her fingers and clatter to the ground. "No!" she screamed, rage igniting in her eyes. But before I could react, she turned sharply and made for the barn doors. I sprinted after her, thrusting open the heavy doors just in time to see her running toward the nearby pasture, the remaining devices glinting in the fading moonlight. "Stop!" I yelled, my voice echoing. I couldn't let her escape and wreak more havoc. I raced after her, Boomer at my side, but Karen was already darting ahead, her figure swallowed by the shadows. I could see her movements were frantic now, driven by desperation. As I got closer, I realized she was heading for the remaining horses, the wild creatures still spooked and bounding against the fencing. Panic ignited in my chest. If she reached them and pressed another button, "Karen!" I shouted one last time, pushing my legs faster. "Stop before you hurt someone." Just then, she turned back with a look of sheer defiance. "They'll all see you as the threat." Boomer barked, racing toward her as I flung myself forward, lunging to grab her before she could press another device. I felt my hand connect with hers, but she twisted, using her momentum to push me back. Then, in that wild moment, something unexpected happened. The horses behind her charged forward, sensing the chaos, their instincts kicking in. They thundered past her like a wave, sending her sprawling to the ground just as she pressed the button on one of the devices. A brilliant flash erupted, blinding light washing over us. Time seemed to freeze. I braced for the explosion, but instead, a shockwave rippled through the air in a deafening silence. The night sky lit up in a swirl of bright colors, a firework display cascading over the ranch. It wasn't an explosion of destructive power, but of beauty, of chaos transformed into something breathtaking. I stared, jaw dropped, as the device malfunctioned, showering us with bright sparks that fizzled into vivid colors, filling the sky above. As the nefarious canvas above flickered and washed into a mesmerizing dance of red and gold, Karen's malevolent expression melted into shock, and then rage. "No! This isn't how it ends," she screamed, scrambling to her feet as the surrounding ranchers and neighbors emerged from the shadows, their faces illuminated by the light, drawn by the spectacle. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd, eyes wide, reflecting disbelief. And then, before I could catch my breath, they recognized me, standing tall alongside my loyal companion, with the harvested evidence of Karen's treachery in hand. "Look at her." I pointed at Karen, fury mixing with triumph. "This is your villain. She's been trying to destroy our home." The crowd erupted in murmurs, shifting their focus, eyes narrowing on Karen, who stood frozen in disbelief. In that moment, the tide turned against her. "No! I won't let this happen," she shouted, trying to regain control, but the whispers grew louder. As the colors burst around us, illuminating the scene, I felt the weight of the world shift. With a simple mishap of one device, Karen's schemes unraveled before our eyes, and the crowd turned to me, my allies, my neighbors. The cheers drowned out her protests. "Let's stand together," I called out, emotions surging through me as I felt the strength of community pile around us. We were united, an unbreakable force against division and deceit. And as we raised our voices together in a chant of resilience and hope, I could finally breathe freely, knowing that whatever battles we faced next, we would face as one. But then, as the night wore on, I caught a glimpse of something strange among the wreckage, one last device still flickering in the shadows, dangling from a tree branch. I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't the end. Karen's threat could still be lurking in the silence, a putrid ember ready to ignite once more. What had started as a firework of chaos had unwittingly set the stage for something even more potent. And deep down, I knew, as I watched the stars twinkle above, the war was far from over.